Welcome to the Membership Guys podcast. Kick-ass advice and tips for membership site owners.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 147 of the Membership Guys podcast. I'm your host, Mike Morrison, and this is the show that helps you grow a successful membership website. Today, we're talking all about gamification. Gamification is a technique that has gained huge popularity when it comes to enhancing user experiences and the effectiveness of e-learning within both online courses and membership websites. Essentially, gamification is the act of applying game elements and game theory to non-gaming situations. So this would be things like awarding points, badges, or other rewards for completing certain tasks within your membership. Maybe even going so far as to design your learning paths, design your learning experiences and your course structure to be more like a traditional type of game. You might even go so far as to theme your entire membership to make it more game-like. And as lifelong video gaming geeks, gamification is right up our street. Above all else, gamification is designed to encourage members to keep returning to your site, and for course-based memberships in particular, gamification can be useful for ensuring that members actually consume and finish your courses. You know, statistically, completion rates when it comes to online courses and e-learning are typically very low. Gamification can change that. Now, we talked quite a bit more about gamification in general, the benefits and how you might use it in a membership back in episode 86. In fact, that episode contains a sample from our full-blown gamification course that we have in Member Site Academy. So if you want to dig deeper into that topic, then you can head to the membershipguys.com/86 and you can hear us, you can hear Callie digging a bit more into what gamification is and how you might use it. But for this week's episode, I want to focus a little bit more on the potential downsides of using gamification in your membership, because there is a fine line that's easy to cross where gamification becomes little more than a gimmick. And so while you will get a lot of people really hyping up and singing the praises of gamification as a tactic, there are certainly some things that don't often get covered in terms of potential risks and potential downsides of using gamification on your membership. So the first of those is that you need to understand and you need to remember that gamification is not a replacement for actual engagement, for actually engaging your members. It's not an easy button. You know, some people think that by using gamification, that means that they have all of their bases covered in terms of ensuring that their site is a one that keeps members engaged. And this can lead to them taking the eye off the ball and avoiding things like personal interaction, avoiding thinking too hard about the value that they're actually delivering to their members on an ongoing basis. They take it for granted that gamification is enough. Truth is, gamification is not a substitute for actually showing up. So just because you've got some fancy tricks, some fancy gimmicks, some badges and all of that sort of stuff, doesn't mean that you get to take your foot off the pedal in terms of putting forward effort to make your site an engaging experience for your members. Not everybody is driven by game mechanics. Now, gamification is something that absolutely appeals to me because I'm a massive nerd and I still play a lot of video games. Yes, I'm 34, and yes, I'm totally comfortable with how much gaming I do. But not everybody is like me, fortunately. Not everybody enjoys gaming or game mechanics. In fact, some people, perhaps even a lot of people, the majority of people, prefer things to be a little simpler, a little more straightforward. They don't need and they don't want badges, achievement points, reward systems. And so to those people where they're not driven by game mechanics and maybe even they're put off by game mechanics, gamification is just going to feel a little bit gimmicky. So you really need to understand your audience and get a good read on whether they'll respond well to game mechanics and gamification features. Gamification can also cause more overwhelm and more confusion in your membership. You know, depending on how complex the gamification elements you're using are, you're going to be adding a whole bunch of stuff into the mix that your members need to wrap their heads around and figure out how to use. Now, the time that they spend doing that is time that they could be spending getting value from your membership. but instead they're going to be spending that time trying to figure out how your point system works or how they go about earning badges. It's also something you're going to have to account for in your new member onboarding. So those initial days and weeks that someone's a member of your site, it's crucial for you to be able to give them all the information they need that helps them get off to the best possible start. And if you've got complex gamification features in place, then a lot of that initial communication is going to be describing and demonstrating the mechanics of your membership as opposed to demonstrating the actual true value of your membership. So during your onboarding, during those initial couple of weeks, when it's crucial you get people off to the right possible start, when you could be directing people to valuable content or helping them achieve something real, instead, you're going to be showing them how to earn points and how to actually use the gamification mechanisms you have. That can be confusing, it can be overwhelming, and it can detract from the real important stuff in your membership. Gamification overall can lead to people focusing on the wrong things, the wrong parts of your membership. Quite often it rewards the wrong sort of stuff. And in a lot of cases, you actually end up rewarding activity and not engagement, not achievement. And if the rewards that you're offering, perhaps you have a gamification system where there are tangible rewards that have an actual value, this might mean that you have members who are getting extra perks and features, maybe they're getting prizes, extra content. You're going to be giving advantages to potentially the wrong sort of people. Because if there's a prize at stake, it can lead to people completing tasks or consuming content simply to get the prize at the end, to accumulate points, to score badges and get rewards. So you end up rewarding members who are most willing to grind through the busy work in order to score those points, get those badges, rack up those achievements, land those prizes. You're rewarding that sort of stuff as opposed to members who've actually absorbed what you're teaching them and perhaps are taking a more thorough or pragmatic approach to their experience as a member. Sometimes the gimmickry of gamification gets in the way of the message. So if your gamified membership is heavily built around a theme, so as an example, one of my favorite gamified memberships, which actually gets this all right, is a one called nerdfitness.com. So naturally, as a nerd, as a bit of a geek, it appeals to me. And that site is themed similarly to online role-playing games like World of Warcraft. Now, as I said, nerdfitness.com get this all right, but if you have that kind of theme where it's a real overarching part of the style of your membership, of the design, of the way you structure your content, then it's very easy to find yourself in the trap of compromising the actual content you're creating just to try and shoehorn it in with the theme or the gimmick that your membership is built around, regardless of whether that's actually the best way to teach something or the best way to serve your members. So you end up putting more focus on making everything you do in your membership fit with the gimmick rather than creating something of true value. Another downside is that a lack of rewards. So if somebody isn't actually earning rewards, they're not getting badges, they're not racking up achievement points or anything like that. If they're not getting that stuff, that can actually create negativity amongst your member base. You know, if somebody knows that they're making actual progress towards their goal, towards the problem they're trying to solve, the transformation they're trying to achieve, and they're actually advancing in whatever area it is that they joined your membership for, whether it's something in their life, their hobby, their business. But if those areas aren't the ones that you're awarding points for, they're not the ones that you have game elements applied to, then that can be discouraging, especially if you're making a big deal out of the points, out of the badges, out of the gamification element. You know, you can't measure everything. You can't gamify everything. Gamification tends to focus on quantitative outcomes, how much activity somebody has completed, how many pages they've viewed, how many lessons they've completed, how much of a course they've consumed, how many times they've posted on a forum. It's all quantity based. But a lot of the time, the really valuable outcomes of a membership are qualitative. And it's much harder to award badges for those type of achievements. How do you gamify increases in confidence? How do you gamify increases in skill? You can't measure everything, and you can't gamify everything. And so, as we said before, that can lead to you rewarding the wrong type of people, the wrong type of advancements, the wrong type of achievement. There are more than enough areas in life where we see undeserving people getting the spotlight, getting the recognition, getting all of the rewards. You don't want your membership to become one of those places. Now, of course, if done right, there's still a big place for gamification within the membership space. It can be a crucial tool for ensuring people are consuming and completing content in the right way, and for really leveling up the engagement level of your membership experience. But it all rests on your strategy. It rests on knowing and understanding your audience and being on the right side of that line we talked about earlier, ensuring that you don't veer into gimmick territory. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you are a member of MemberSite Academy, then one of the courses inside our training library is all about gamification. So we dig real deep into the strategy and the planning side, as well as show you how to actually implement gamification into your site, the tools and the plugins you need to use, and so on. So if you want to know how to do gamification right and avoid these sort of downsides that we talked about in this episode, head over to membersiteacademy.com, jump into the training library and check out that course. And of course, if you're not a member of MemberSite Academy, then you know what to do. Head over to membersiteacademy.com and join up today. That's it from me for this episode. Hopefully this has been useful. It's been a very specialist, very specific kind of episode. It's not necessarily going to apply to all sites, but gamification comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes. It may be as simple as having something on your site that monitors the percentage of a course that people have completed. It doesn't have to be all singing or dancing, but there's certainly a right way of doing it. Certainly a wrong way of doing it, and it's not something that is just a broad brush strategy that everybody should apply, because it's not going to be right for every sort of membership, it's not going to be right for every sort of audience, it's not going to be right for every situation. So hopefully this has been useful to you. That's it for me for this week. I'll be back again next week with another episode of the Membership Guys podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode of the Membership Guys podcast, we invite you to check out the membersiteacademy.com. The MemberSite Academy is the essential resource for anyone at any stage of starting, growing, and running a membership website. So whether you're still figuring out what your idea is going to be, or whether your website is already up and running and you're just looking for ways to grow it and attract new members, then the MemberSite Academy can help you to get to the next level. With our extensive course library, monthly training, exclusive member-only discounts, perks and tools, and a supportive, active community to help you along the way with feedback, encouragement and advice, the MemberSite Academy is the perfect place to be for anyone looking to start, manage and grow a successful membership website. So check it out at membersiteacademy.com.